Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Yugoslavian, particularly the Zastava Serbian made RPK. This is in 7.62 by 39 and they designate it as their model 72 or M72. We've got two here to show you today. One is Brent's, one is mine, and we're going to show what these look like as they come out of the box and what little modifications you need to do or you can do to bring them back closer to the original as issued Yugoslavian RPK. Okay guys, so it was Black Friday special. I was looking to spend some money, buy a new rifle. Talked to Brent and he said, hey man, you should get an M72 like me. I said, yeah, I've always wanted an M72, so I think I'm going to pick one up. Classic Arms had them on sale for $7.50 shipped, I think. I had to jump on that. I had to go for it. Now, these are made by James River Armory. James River Armory is kind of known for producing M1 carbines, M14s, things like that. They got into the AK world, and just wanted to give you guys an overview, since we both have one of these and they were bought at two separate times, of what you can expect when you purchase one of these rifles, what comes in the box, and what, if anything, improvements that they need. So to start off with, Brent's did not come with a cleaning rod, and when I read the description when I purchased mine, it said that it may or may not come with a cleaning rod, and it may come with a standard AK cleaning rod instead of an RPK cleaning rod, which is longer. And that was the case with me. I ended up with a standard AK cleaning rod, no problem. I purchased a longer cleaning rod, dropped that in, $10 probably cost, and that was that. Fixed that problem. If you look at Brent's, we're going to kind of talk to this thing from the muzzle down. So he's got his muzzle nut, and he's also got this little tab here. This little tab is correct for Yugo M72s. It helps lock the cleaning rod in place. Mine did not come with this. I had to purchase this on my own. So again, it was only a couple of bucks. But at any rate, that's one thing that his came with, and no cleaning rod. Mine came with a cleaning rod. It was too short, and no retainer clip here. No big deal. They come with the assembly for the front sight, the night sight assembly. Although the tritium tube is missing, you can purchase those, and there's no problem with those being missing because these tritium tubes would be dead anyway. They only last about 12 or 14 years, and all these rifles are older than that. So what James River Armory does is they bring these kits in and they completely media blast the entire gun, and that's a good thing. That lets them inspect, make sure they don't have any rust, cracks, or anything like that before they start putting them on a new US made receiver and then refinishing them. They have the correct heavy barrel. This is a very heavy barrel. You can see the flutes. This is sort of unique to the Yugo rifles or the Yugo M72s. You have the flutes under on this portion of the barrel. Inside the handguard, and we'll look at this in a minute, the barrel is every bit as heavy as the exterior of these flutes. It's a really heavy barrel, the heaviest barrel I've ever seen on any issued RPK. These are non-chrome lined, and that is how Yugo barrels were made. For whatever reason, Yugoslavia decided that they weren't going to chrome line barrels, and therefore on their M70s or the M72s, and they didn't do that. Now that's a bit of a problem, because early on when some of these rifles started coming in that had been used in the Balkans war with original barrels, barrels were in bad shape. Yugos use corrosive ammunition, and corrosive ammunition is a good thing. It's a good thing because your primers are typically more reliable under bad weather conditions than standard primers would be. The downside is when you couple corrosive primers with non-chrome lined barrels, you end up with a lot of corrosion and a lot of pitting. These are new US made barrels, so you know there's going to be no corrosion, no pitting on those. You're getting a virgin barrel, and as long as you clean them and maintain them, they'll last you forever. They'll be fine. So keep that in mind. Wood is going to be surplus wood, very good condition though. Original wood. You see there's a couple of marks here, a couple of marks on mine, nothing serious. They clean these up, they refinish them lightly, and I actually think they're fine. I think as long as you treat them on occasion, I think this wood's going to be fine just like it is. I believe this is beech is what was in the originals. Rear sight is RPK style, 1,000 meters, adjustable for windage and elevation, and this is unique to RPKs, having the adjustable windage. Now the downside, they refinished the top of this sight. If you're just buying this as a shooter and you just want a cool rifle to have, no problem, it's good to go as it is. If you want this to be a close clone to the original in semi-auto, the closest you can legally own, you're going to want to remove the finish off the top of this, and I may even show a video on how to do that in the future. I'm going to be doing it to mine. Magazine comes with one Serbian surplus magazine in very good condition, 98%. I was very happy that I got a Serbian magazine and not some Magpul plastic magazine or whatever. Let's look at the receiver. So 1.5 millimeter receivers, 50% thicker than standard receivers, and that's correct for the RPK. It's got a wider trunnion to accompany the wider barrel, and therefore you have this bulge in the side. Again, this is standard on RPK 7.4s, but also on these Yugo M72s because they have the heavier barrel. If you'll look, one of the cool things James River Armory did is they put all three selector markings in Yugoslavian, U, R, and J, on the rifle, and that's really cool because that's something a lot of people like to do later on their own. You don't have to do that, it's already been done for you. And keep in mind, it's just a safe and fire. There's no full auto in this rifle, but you still have the markings to make it look like the original would, and that's cool. James River Armory put all of their markings on the bottom in front of the magazine, in front of the magwell. That's another good thing, because I don't like having those billboards on the side of a gun if I'm trying to buy it as sort of a collector's piece, you know, something that's cool to have. Surplus pistol grip, but in decent shape. Mine was also in decent shape. Correct dust cover. I see there's just a little bit of pitting on this dust cover, not much. I had a little bit of pitting on mine on the gas tube. Again, not much, and I was absolutely fine with that. Really happy with the purchase. No problems there. Completely serviceable. Mine was a matching numbers gun. I haven't looked over Brent's yet to see if his is, but mine was a matching numbers gun, and I'm really, again, happy about that. That was kind of a bit of a freebie. Trigger. I'm not sure what triggers they're using. They're not Tapco G2s, but mine is very smooth. One of the smoothest AK triggers that I've ever had for something that's not a Geisley or ALG or something to that effect. So pretty happy there. Let's look at the bolt carrier real quick. So if you look at this, a couple of things you'll notice. It's been bead blasted overall. That's not a bad thing. Looks really clean, looks really nice. Reminds me of how some of the Chinese Mac 90s came in, where they had this kind of dull finish on the exterior, even though it's a bare metal bolt carrier group. However, this isn't 100% correct because these should be a little more shiny. And we're going to show you one of those here in a minute because I've already restored mine back to the way that it should have been. Look at the lube in here. These are lubed and greased from the factory. Good job, James River, on that. These things are ready to go. Look at that grease in there. Very nice, okay? They were test fired. We'll be putting the first rounds through mine here in just a little bit, but really happy that they did a good job of lubricating these from the factory so that they're ready to go and they're not too dry. Let's have a look at that barrel, guys. What do you think about that? It's about as thick as you can fit inside that wood. Again, one of the heavier barrels that I've ever seen on an RPK. Rubber butt plate, standard, same on all the M70s. The M72 kept the standard AK stock that the Yugos were running. It doesn't have the club foot that we're used to seeing on other RPKs, and it's got the rubber butt plate. Now, this rubber butt plate was used because the standard M70s, like this, were designed to fire rifle grenades, and the rifle grenades generated a lot of recoil, so having a rubber butt plate is always a good thing. You also see here on your dust cover, you've got a lock. That lock is on rifles that are designed to fire rifle grenades to keep the top cover from blowing off. That's sort of unique to Yugoslavian guns that fired rifle grenades. And of course, you've also got your rifle grenade launcher sight and whatnot that shuts off the gas to the piston because of the way that those operate. Now, on the M72, they kept the standard stock, standard butt plate. They kept the standard dust cover. If you look on that dust cover, you can see it's got the little cutout notch there that the M70s would have. But this gun was never designed to fire rifle grenades. They did not intend for you to fire rifle grenades through this. And it has no ability to turn off the gas port and shut down the gas. So it was not, and of course no sight for rifle grenades. It was not designed to use rifle grenades. I think that they just kept the dust cover because, hey, it was easy, one part for two different model guns, and the same thing with the stock. Okay guys, I think I've covered about everything. Of course, you've got your bipod up front, standard RPK bipod. I think I've covered about everything of what you can expect to get out of the box on one of these rifles. Let's look at some modifications that I did to mine to bring it back a little more like the original. Okay, here's my RPK 72 or M72 out of Zastava. You can see I've added the correct length cleaning rod all the way down. Standard length for RPKs. I've added my cleaning rod retainer plate. I had to order that separately for myself. Got that on there, in between there. I've got on order a tritium tube for the front night sight. And on the rear night sight, I picked this up cheap. I have the slip-on night sight. Now these are a paint that illuminates through a charge of sunlight, and then it just glows for a little while. Not that effective, guys, but hey, it was an inexpensive part. It just snaps on. So I went ahead and grabbed one just to kind of show you guys. Just a half, really. No other reason than just a half. Still haven't got finished yet. Taking off the finish here that was re-blued on the rear sight. I'll do that at a later time and show you guys how to do that. No big deal. Bolt carrier group, you can see I took a little 800 grit sandpaper, cleaned mine up, took the kind of dull media blasted finish off, and brought it back to the bare steel polish that the original would really look. magazines. I purchased several magazines. These are made in Croatia. I've got some made in Serbia. They all fit fine. A couple of them needed a little modification on the magazine itself. I think that was due to the magazine though, not due to the rifle. The mil surplus magazines that I have all fit fine with no issues. And we'll be test firing this here in a little bit. Show you guys that. See how they run. So on the Yugo M72, you almost always see them used with 30 round mags. You very rarely see 40 round mags. I've never seen any. You very rarely see drums being used. Now, some people would say that drums were never manufactured in Yugoslavia. I don't know if that's true or not. I know that Yugoslavia intended to supply drums with these guns because when you look at the original manual, it talks about those drums. There's several pages that talk about how to disassemble them, maintain them, clean them, use them. And those drums are these. The exact same design that the East Germans were using, the Romanians were using, the Russians were using. These are the top feed, load one at a time. They're really called top feed drums. This is what Yugoslavia intended to use. Why they never did, we don't know. I've had a hard time, I've checked a lot of footage. I've had a hard time finding footage of any drums being used during the Balkans War. Although, when I say that, there was a video called The Dogs of War. And in that video, it kind of, the cameraman followed a group of British volunteers, some which had went AWOL from the British military, and some which were prior British military and decided to get involved in the Balkans War and fight on the side of Croatia. You can find that documentary on YouTube if you just search Dogs of War. In that video, and I'll show this excerpt now, you can see them using a drum in a Yugo M72. Where did that drum come from? We don't know. Was it Yugoslavia supplied? Maybe. Did it come from East Germany? Did it come from Romania? There were all kinds of countries sending stuff into the Balkans as those breakups started to happen, and it could have come from any of those countries. But it's the only footage that I've actually seen of a 75 round drum being used in an M72. If you guys have other information on that, we'd love to see it because it's one of those things that's sort of up for dispute. We're not sure why they never used the drums, yet they took the time to talk about the assembly, disassembly of the drum in their video, or in their manual rather. Okay guys, we're getting ready to go to the range, put a few first rounds through this Yugo M72, see if it even works. So join us over at the range. Guys, after initial shooting, we found that we had some trigger slap issues. Trigger slap is when the tolerance of your fire control group interferes with the tolerance stack up on your bolt carrier group. It causes energy from the bolt carrier as it travels to the rear to transfer through the trigger into your shooting finger, and it feels like your finger's being slapped by the trigger and you get a little discomfort and sting there. So I pulled the fire control group, cleaned that up, reassembled and reinstalled, and we're going to be testing it today to find out if we have removed that trigger slap issue. I'm pretty confident that I have, so we're going to see what kind of groups we can get out of this thing at the same time, so stay with me. After correcting the fire control group, feels like the trigger slap's been eliminated, and I feel pretty comfortable about this fire control group now. Trigger still breaks really cleanly, and we're not having a trigger slap issue anymore. Let's go down and have a look at our group.
So here's our initial group of 9 shots. We can see how accurate the gun is. We've also corrected the rear sight issue, and I'm going to call it good at this point. We may adjust elevation up a little bit, but all in all, that's a pretty good group. So one of the issues that we had with this rifle was the rear sight was bent. There's been some internet chatter that a lot of these M72s are coming into the country with bent rear sights, probably because they were getting thrown around back in former Yugoslavia before they were ever cut up and sent here as parts kits. But either way, these got through the initial quality control inspections over at James River Armory, because we know they were removed, bead blasted, refinished, and reinstalled, and I ended up with a bent rear sight. The good news is I was able to remove it. I was able to straighten it out using a rubber mallet and a bench vise, and everything looks good now. At that same time, I went ahead and removed the finish off the top of the rear sight and restored it back to the way that the original ones would have been. I'm going to ding this rifle on 2 points. One, the bent rear sight, the other, the trigger slap, both which have been corrected now, and we're really happy with the rifle. Final impressions, James River Armory M72. This is a great buy. If you have an opportunity to pick one up, please do. Classic Arms currently has them in this configuration, also with the underfolder stock. That's a very rare but actual military issue light machine gun. It would be a great one to purchase just to hold on to for the future, because these things eventually are only going to start going up in value. You guys know how that goes. I'm going to ding it on 2 factors. James River Armory sent it with the bent rear sight. I was able to fix that, no problem, but it should never have left the manufacturer like that. Also, trigger slap issue. Guys, as soon as you test fire those, if you find there's a trigger slap issue, go ahead and fix it, okay? Those shouldn't have gotten through your quality control. I have no doubt Classic Arms would have been more than happy to take it back and send me another, but all in all, I'm happy with the rifle. These were 2 issues I could fix myself, so I went ahead and did that on my own, and I'm really happy with it. But I'm gonna have to give it an 8 out of 10. I wanted to give it a 10 out of 10, but today James River Armory goes home with a participation trophy instead of a first place, because those couple of issues got through quality control. Rivets look great, gun is reliable. Now that I've done my minor restoration on this gun, very happy with it. Looking forward to putting some more rounds through it. So if you guys are on the fence about whether you should buy one of these or not, go ahead and give them a shot. I'm sure that you'll be really happy with yours.